Hello, my name is Jesse, and this is a submission for the blast processing thing that Renard's having on his Tumblr, which is where you record about 2 to 5 minutes, I believe, of a game that you grew up with or a game that you really like, and just talk about it. My game is DuckTales. I was going to do Bucky O'Hare. It's one of my favorite games ever, but so is this, and I grew up with this one. Like, I remember a lot more, so start off, I remember my first time playing DuckTales. I might have been literally a year and a half old as a kid when I had my NES hooked up, and my father, he came home with this game from a yard sale, and he was like, hey, you want to play DuckTales? And as a kid, I was like, sure, whatever that is. This was before I ever watched the show, keep in mind, so I had no idea what this game was going to be like. Also, I was, 1 year old, so I wouldn't really think about what the game was going to be like in the first place. But I remember booting up the game and just that theme song, even before I even saw the show, I knew the theme song was amazing, and I started playing, and as a kid, I thought this game was really tough. Now I've learned it's not so tough. It's kind of hard. It's Capcom hard, which in my opinion, I think it's fairly hard, but not ridiculous. And I remember going through the Amazon was my first level, the Moon was my second level, then I did Transylvania, the Mines, and last but not least, I did the Himalayas, and that's completely changed around now. I usually do the Himalayas or the Mines first, but back to the first time I played this game, I booted it up, and I loved it. I remember as a kid, the music was so catchy, and I don't know how, but still, as a kid, I remember loving video game music as a whole, and I think I even have something in kindergarten that I wrote down that said, I like the sound of video games or something, and that partially came from DuckTales, the Moon theme, and pretty basically what happened was, I couldn't beat this game for the life of me as a kid. I just sucked. I played each level almost all the way through, but after that, couldn't beat a second level. I just stunk. And specifically, I remember as a kid going into the Moon level and wondering where to go, like, what am I supposed to do here? I'm supposed to go to the right, but there's a bunch of aliens, and I don't know how it says I need this guy named Gizmo Duck, not knowing who Gizmo Duck was. And as a kid, you don't really follow directions that well when you're that young, like literally a couple of years old. But as I played it as I got older, like maybe 6 or 7, I was way better at the game, and I managed to beat half of it. Now, I'm around 16, so I can beat it no problem. It's a pretty easy game for the most part. Even on difficult mode. But as a kid, I couldn't do this game for the life of me. In Transylvania, I remember going around thinking that the boss was one of the prisoner guys. I can't remember their names, but the guys in red that they miscolored. And when you swung your cane, that box at him, and you talk to Huey, Dewey, or Louie, I can't remember who's behind him, but he tells you about there's an invincibility secret, or there's secret walls in the Transylvania place. And I remember thinking that was the boss, and that you beat the level after that. But as a kid, I was confused, because after I killed him, I was like, hey, what's going on? The level didn't end. The Moon, what can I say? The theme was stuck in my head for years as a kid, and I tried to play it on piano many times. Didn't really succeed. The Mines, I thought was the easiest level as a child, and I definitely still think that now. It's pretty straightforward, just go right down to the left, you're at the boss, and the boss is pretty easy. And eventually, one day, I think when I was 10, I beat this game, and I was so happy, I was so glad to have beaten this precious game that I remember from my childhood. This, fantastic game with a great soundtrack. I think the graphics still look really nice for NES standards. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks, Renard, for having this open submission thing. And that was me talking about DuckTales on the NES.